In this video, we will see the tutorial 12. In this, the first question is, what is multi-language programming? How is it achieved in .NET? Also discuss various ways of achieving it. Basically, first we will see what is multi-language programming. We have seen so far single language programming. Either it may be C++, Java, or Python, or C programming, or functional programming like Scheme or Prolog programming in logic programming. But what is this multi-language programming? The name itself telling you that language means using of multiple languages in one application. This is what they call multi-language programming. It means the applications that you have developed so far, either in C, C++, Java or Python, are purely coded with the language that you have chosen. But some applications will be there, like web applications, in which you use multiple languages. For example, for web page design, you may use HTML. For the form kind of pages checking, you may use JavaScript. And to have the color appearances and to have the easy way of GUI appearances for the front-end applications, you may use CSS in web pages. So like this, sometimes you may use jQuery, or you may use the XML related content, and in the back end you may use any kind of back end logic such as servlets, JSP or ASP or PHP, so these kind of things. So all put together in one application, you are finding multiple programming languages. So like that, developing an application with multiple languages is a somewhat tricky task. The reason is you are supposed to, or the developers should be familiar with these multiple languages. So the first question is dealing with what is multi-language programming and how it is achieved in .NET. .NET is a framework in which it consists of, it combines multiple language environments. So I have already provided a reference material with this tutorial. So you may go to the Google Classroom and download that material from the under classwork and under tutorial 12. So this particular question is mainly for reading assignment. This will not be included in the main syllabus. However, as a computer science engineering student, you must be aware of how a particular framework such as .NET, which is very popular and also widely used in the academia and industry, is using this multi-language programming. So for this purpose, this question has been given. In addition to this, you are also recommended to go through the topic another technology which is called Java. In this there is a feature available which is called Java Native Interface, or JNI. Java Native Interface or JNI is a technique used in JNI, especially is a technique used to for this foreign function interface programming framework. This enables the Java code running in Java virtual machine to call and be called by native applications. That means programs that are specific to a hardware and operating system platform, and libraries written in other languages such as C, C++ and assembly language. That means this JNI enables us to call the functions that are written in C, C++ assembly languages, or that means it will enable you to call from C++, C and assembly languages, and Java program can also call the functions of C, C++ and assembly languages. That means to and fro. that this is the idea behind this JNI. So once you read this, once you read the material that I have provided, that is .NET, how this multi-language programming is achieved in .NET, you are also recommended to go through the Java nativity interface, and at the same time there are many other aspects for the multi-language programming, such as how we can call an assembly language code in C and C++. How can you call a Java function from MATLAB? So these aspects in one application you can use in these aspects you can use multiple programming languages to build one application. So that is the reason, as a programmer and computer science engineering student, you must be aware of this multi-language programming. So that is the reason, but if we discuss this multi-language programming concept, it is a too vast subject, and a student should know various programming languages. Anyhow, we have discussed this entire course with the C, C++, Java and Python by taking these languages into consideration. Anyhow, the interested programmers students may explore these materials, and anyhow I have provided one material called .NET, how multi-language programming is achieved in .NET, but you are also encouraged to go through Java nativity interface, because this is an alternative technology for the .NET, which is called Java technologies. So the reason you go through this, and also web platform, you are by this time you might have developed 2 or 3 projects, mini projects in for developing the web applications, in which you might have used multiple languages like HTML, JSP, or CSS, or JavaScript, or jQuery, etc. So you may be knowing that you might have developed an application using these programming languages. So with this information, I'm stopping here and moving on to the next question. So finally, what I want to say is, go through the material and find out the thing. The material that I have provided is around 20 pages, and this is a reading assignment. So it will enhance your skill on programming. Next, we will move on to the rest of the questions. Here, from the second question to 11th question, deals with the questions on the functional and logic programming languages, which are part of our syllabus. The question 1 is not is part of our syllabus, but not included for the examination. It is for the reading assignment, and the upcoming quizzes may also consider this content. So that reason you should read the first question. Next, second question, discuss strengths and weakness of various functional languages. Here we are supposed to discuss the strengths and weakness of functional languages. In lecture 38, Introduction to the Functional Languages, I have told you that there exist several languages that support these features of functional programming languages, such as Lisp, Common Lisp, Scheme, ML, and Haskell. So we have seen already in the lectures that what are the advantages and what are the strengths in those languages, and what are the weaknesses. Among all the among the available functional languages that we have seen in the lecture, we picked up a Scheme programming language. The reason is, the Scheme programming language is a static scoped language, very simple, no recursions. Automatically all the tail recursions will be converted into iterations, no variables, very simple to program. That is the reason we consider this. And you are to answer this question, you are recommended to go through the lecture slides, and I hope fifth or sixth slide consisting of this comparison of strengths and weakness of these functional languages, or you go individually each and every slide and find out what are the strengths and weakness of these functional languages. like some languages consisting of the features of the imperative languages along with the functional languages, such as Haskell is having the feature of the lazy evaluation. So like that, each and every functional language that we have discussed in the lecture, consisting of its own strength and weakness, you go through those lecture slides and identify these strengths and weaknesses. To answer the third question, that is, write a scheme function that returns the number of zeros in a given simple list of numbers. In order to answer the questions, the next upcoming questions, we need to recall the list operations such as CONS, CAR, CDR. CONS is used to add an atom with the list, whereas CAR will give you the first element in the list. CDR will give you the list by eliminating the first element. That means CAR will give you the head of the list and CDR will give you tail of the list. Anyhow, we have seen sufficient number of examples for list operations during lecture 38 and 39. So you are again encouraged to go through those programs, and then you can easily answer this question. So here the question asked is, write a scheme function that returns the number of zeros in a given simple list. That means a list will be supplied to the function. In that list there may exist several zero elements. That means you are supposed to check first in any list operation whether the given list is empty or non-empty. That means if the given list is empty, return the same list. Otherwise, pick up the first element and compare with the 0. That means you can use EQ question mark, EQ question mark predicate function. So what it will do is, EQ question mark, this predicate function takes two symbolic operators. It returns true if both parameters are atoms and the two are the same. So in the same way, you use this quotation for the first element that you consider and compare with the 0. If it is 0, then it will return true. Then you increment the count operator. Otherwise, you just simply skip if it is non-zero element and do it till the end of list is reached. Thereby finally the count value that you are counting the number of zeros, so consisting of the total count of 0 elements in the given list. The next question is, write a scheme function that takes a list and an atom. That means you are supposed to take an input of a list and an atom now as parameters and returns a list identical to its parameter list except with all top level instances of the given atom deleted. That means you might have given a list such as 1, 2, 1, 3, 1, 5, 6, 1 and the atom that you have given is 1. That means you are supposed to delete the atom corresponding value, that is 1, in the given list and return the final list. So this is what the thing. Again here CAR, CDR and creating of a new list will be useful. The functions related to that is CAR, CDR and new list. In order to create new list, what you are supposed to do? You have to use list function to create a new list. And at the same time you are supposed to add the independent atoms to the list. So for this CONS is also useful. So using these functions try to develop the program. Next is write a scheme function that returns the reverse of its simple list parameter. So that means it is simple program. Already we have seen the list of programs reversing the list. Write a scheme function that returns the union of two simple list parameters that represents sets. that means here you are supposed to union means combine two lists that I have supplied to the program, and along with this you try to practice writing more programs in Scheme, especially to sort a given list. Either you use bubble sort, simple bubble sort, or insertion sort, and try to sort the list. So these kind of programs you must master for attempting the examination. So these are the only sample questions that I have given, but some more questions are also provided. Some more programs are also provided while giving the lecture. So I recommend you to go through those programs also. Not only going through, you should type and see the output. For the programming environment, you type functional programming languages, that is a Scheme online compiler, and go to that online compiler and type the programs and check the results there itself, and save the program in a notepad or somewhere. Okay. Well, next we will move on to the logic programming languages. The 7th question deals with the discussion on the logic programming language. However, we have seen Prolog as a language for the logic programming, but there exist several other programming languages such as answer set programming, data log, and also Prolog. So these are the three major logic programming languages available. So do some research on this question, that is, discuss strengths and weakness of various logic languages. Anyhow, you know the strengths of the Prolog language. You also find out the features of the answer set programming, that is called ASP, and data log. Next we'll move on to the 8th question. Explain two ways in which the list processing capabilities of Scheme and Prolog are similar. The list processing capabilities for the Scheme, we have seen that there are three important functions which are called CONS for the concatenation of the atom with the list, and CAR to get the first element from the list, CDR to get the tail of the list. In the same way, in Prolog also we have the method called head and tail. Head will always give the first element from the list. Tail will give the remaining elements by removing the first element. Next, in the ninth question, in what way are the list processing capabilities of Scheme and Prolog are different? Here the list representation is somewhat different from the Scheme to Prolog. So here various other list processing capabilities are reversing the list, going through the list, iterating through the list. So these are the various other capabilities that will look different from the Scheme language in Prolog. So do go through the lecture videos of lecture videos 40 and 41, which deals with the logic programming, and also go through the slides, PowerPoint slides that I have provided, and find out the answers for this. Next one is using the structure parent of x comma y, male of x and female of x, write a structure that defines sister of x comma y. In the Prolog programming examples, we have seen the parent example and male female example also in the lineage of Dasharatha, Rama and Lava Kusha. So keep it in mind, type the program on your computer, see the output, and here only additional thing you are supposed to add, which is called sister. So you think of what is the logic behind identifying sister. Sister must be female, and same time they should have the common parent. So this is what is called sister. So you, by keeping this logic in mind, develop the rule for that. Next, write a Prolog program that finds the maximum number of a list, maximum of a list of numbers. That means you have to identify the biggest number in the list. So you have to perform the comparisons from the one list to other, one element to other, or you consider the first element in the list as the biggest element, and you try to compare rest of the elements with the first element and identify the maximum number in the given list. So this is the way this logic can be performed. So in order to understand these logics, first of all, I recommend you to type all the logic programming examples that I have provided in the study material and try to develop these logics. As I told you in the functional programming, to perform or to write a program for sorting the given elements, here also you try to develop a program in Prolog for sorting the given list. So for this you may use bubble sort or insertion sort to perform the activity. Either you may use quick sort that I have already that is already available in the what you call the lecture slides. So you go through the lecture slides once again. So this is what the functional and logic programming related questions available in the tutorial 12.